Hi everybody and welcome back. I really do not wish to bore you, and I promise that I'll move on to something else until we get more information from the Chaffee County law enforcement. But for today, we're going to carry on talking about the Morphew case. I am assuming that law enforcement are still waiting for test results, particularly because of the state of the remains. I can't imagine the last testing to be completed within the next, say, 2 to 6 months. At this point, time is on law enforcement's side, and it would not serve them at all to act too hastily. I also think that it is why law enforcement is not saying anything. I think they learned their lesson and are not going to grandstand on a podium again just to come short in court again. I know that some of you can't understand my stance and opinion on this case because of the fact that I am a very independent woman who are more likely to side with a female when it comes to certain things like relationships and struggles. Well, I'm going to be truthful whether you like it or not, but all I ask is that you hear me out before you comment, because there is indeed method to my madness and some sense to my reasoning, believe it or not. Okay, so the reason why I became so invested in this case actually came a couple of weeks into the search for Suzanne, when it became clear that the direction it was going to play right into one of my pet hates. And before I tell you what it is, I want to make a very, very, very clear statement. Nothing I can think of is good enough reason for anyone to be murdered, whether male or female, no matter the circumstances. The end. So no hate in the comment section, please. One of my pet hates is when people turn someone into a saint just because they passed away. I have seen it so often. The most awful person can pass away, but at his or her funeral, people will say how wonderful he or she was. I was at least one or two funerals where I felt like putting my hand up and saying, no, he wasn't a good father, or no, he wasn't a good husband, or no, she may have been entertaining, but she was actually a bitch. Now, I'm not saying Suzanne was an awful person. By all indications, she was a nice person, pretty, and people liked her in general. But Suzanne was not a deeply Christian angel descending from heaven, holier than thou. No, she was human and had clear flaws and made clear and obvious mistakes, did things which were nice, but also did things which were not nice at all. One of them being that she had a physical and emotional affair with a married father of 6. And from their published messages, it does not appear as if she had a guilty conscience about the boyfriend's wife and children when she expressed hopes to run away with him one day and live with him, etc. But before you bite my head off, no matter what, not even this is cause for murder. She deserved to live and sort out her life and eventually find peace and happiness. And no, I do not believe that Barry was the reason why she had an affair. No other person can force another into an affair. This entire story about, oh, she was desperate for love. No, that is not an excuse either. Love, fulfillment, and happiness comes from within and can be found in many places and ways and not at the cost of another family. And again, let me put my hands up and say that I'm not standing up or speaking up for Barry. I don't know Barry. He may be a great guy or a complete a-hole. I don't know. All I can guess at is that he can't be as bad as some people make him out to be if his daughters, despite everything that has happened, still love him and still support him. Yes, maybe some people are right and maybe he is manipulating them. But in my opinion, it'll take a little more than manipulation when it comes to murder. However, I may be wrong. I do not know any of these people. I am just merely relying on my gut instinct. Anyway, the fact is that as hard as Suzanne tried, she could not catch Barry having an affair or being involved with someone else, spy pen or not, and neither could the police. So even though Barry may be an a-hole for as far as we know, there is no evidence of him having an affair in the months before Suzanne's disappearance and obviously death. And these are facts until proven otherwise. Also fact is that there is no evidence that there was DV in their household. And even Suzanne's family admitted that they never saw any signs of violence against Suzanne and that she certainly did not tell anyone about it, at least not until she started her affair. Now, Suzanne's behavior is very typical of a married person who is having an affair. As a matter of fact, it is textbook. So, not me saying so, but indeed the textbook saying so. It is actually suggested that one of the signs that your partner is having an affair is when they actually start accusing you of having an affair. I'm not saying that is what Suzanne did with her spy pen, etc., but in light of everything we know, it is very likely what was happening. Instead of catching Barry with his hand in the cookie jar, she somehow managed to record her own affair. Strange, very strange. Do you want to tell me that she never listened to whatever was possibly on the pen? Or did she do it on purpose? Think about it. Did she perhaps want proof of her affair, just in case she needed it someday? I don't know. What do you think? The same mindset could apply to the negative remarks Suzanne made about Barry to her friend and the boyfriend, Jeff Libler. It is expected or typical behavior of someone who is having an affair or in love with someone else. Remember, it is almost normal, but definitely typical for people who are in illicit affairs to find excuses for their own behavior and actions, even if just to soothe their own conscience. Please understand that I'm not going out of my way to blame the victim or shame the victim. I'm merely bringing you the truth based on studies done, and not by me, but by psychologists and psychiatrists and others doing studies in the field. And the only reason why I'm even mentioning it is to prove to you that we cannot depend on Suzanne's words to form an opinion on who Barry Morphew is. As the court and prosecutors have proven to us, talking a bit of nonsense and throwing away trash or being away from home on Mother's Day is not evidence of murder. Having said that, of course, all the vehicle movements, all the trash dumps, Barry's actions in Denver, all of it looks a little or indeed very suspicious, depending on which side of the fence you are on. But then, all these carefully recorded movements do not show Barry anywhere near where Suzanne's remains were found. So now we are faced with more questions. What could have happened? Was Suzanne's body moved? She could have been moved more than once in the more than 2 years since she disappeared. Did Barry hire someone to get rid of his wife as soon as he left for Denver? Or did Suzanne open the door to the wrong person? Was it a stranger she could have opened the door to, or was it someone she expected? Or did she go for a bike ride and there was an accident? Or was she pulled and grabbed off her bike? With the information we have at the moment, all possibilities or options are still open, at least until law enforcement shares more information and details on their findings and the findings of the autopsy. Okay, my dear friends and viewers, I hope that did not upset any of you too much, but unfortunately, that is how my brain works. I can sometimes take the puzzle pieces apart without crying over all the hard work that went into putting it together in the first place. Hopefully, life will be calm enough for me to buckle down and bring you those promised crazy South African crime stories I've been telling you about. Okay, guys and girls, that's me for now. Please take good care of yourselves and each other until we meet again on the next one. Bye.